Hello everyone, this is Anna from Bread Journey, and today I am here to show you a different way to score your sourdough bread. What I have here is roughly 80% hydration with about 25% whole grain. This is my new favorite recipe that will soon be up on my blog. And if you haven't checked out my blog yet, I recommend that you do it. The link is in the description because on my blog is where I have all my recipes, all my tips, and all of the other things that I do not show in my videos. So let's begin. You can turn your bread whichever way you want. This is just the method that I prefer. I always line my bannetons because when you score, you don't want this pretty swirls. Well, maybe you do. It's not something that I want on my bread. I want a smooth surface, and this is something that I can achieve with a lining. Flour the dough very well with all-purpose flour. I'm often asked if this is rice flour. I never use rice flour because it just does not give me the contrast that all-purpose or bread flour does. You can totally use bread flour instead of all-purpose. I just feel that using bread flour for this task is a little bit of a waste. And I know it's irrational because they cost about the same, but to me bread flour is precious because that's what I make bread with, and so I use all-purpose for dusting, but you can use whichever flour you have on hand. Make sure to rub in the flour and slightly dust off the excess with your paw. Okay, and now we're moving on to my, I'd like to say patented method, but of course it's not patented, it's just the method that I came up with, which is the thread method of outlining the bread surface for your scoring. Fun fact, this is the same piece of thread that I started with about 3 years ago. I'm not superstitious or anything, but I just like to keep using it because why not? Recycle as much as you can. Okay, here we go, the first two lines. Another question that I ask is, what kind of thread do I use? Because their thread doesn't cut through the dough. It's not supposed to cut through the dough. It's only supposed to leave a mark on the flour, like so. Okay, so far so good. And now we will just divide each of these into two. Okay. Now another thing that I've got today is this, which I will use to make a circle on the loaf. You can use anything like a bowl or a sieve. I prefer a lid, first of all, because I can see where I place it. It has the rim enough to leave a mark, but also it has a handy handle for me to grab it by. There we go. It wasn't too straight. I can do that again. Okay, better now. And now we are officially ready for scoring. I will be using my very favorite and well-cherished lamb from Wire Monkey. This is the UFO lamb. It's super handy. If you're not watching my first video now, if you've seen some of my work previously, you know that I absolutely love this. Let's plunge right in with the first wheat stalk. Another question that I get is, how come my scoring works on bread that has hydration of around 80% when other people try and it just drags. First off, you need a brand new blade. I've never used this blade. I only use each corner once. That's one. And second is the dough needs to be cold. This is straight from the fridge. I never score room temperature dough. I don't recommend that you attempt it. If you proof your bread at room temperature, at least put it in the freezer for 15 minutes before scoring. And also, you see that I feel free talking to you while I'm scoring. Do not rush the job. Do not be afraid that your bread spreads. First of all, if it was properly fermented, it will not drip off the table. If it just spreads like a pancake, that's what you want actually, because you want all the little scores to open up before the bread hits the oven. So don't rush it. I will now proceed with the rest of the wheat stalks around before we move to the next step. You see that I did not go outside of the limits of the circle, so that's what you want to be aiming for. Also, look at how differently the wheat stalks have spread. The very first one is quite open by now. The last one is it looks just like a few scratches. That's okay, it will open up while we're doing the rest. But this is to show you why it's okay for the bread to spread. The scoring just looks prettier. Now I will go in with smaller wheat stalks in the spaces that we have here. And you do it just the same way within the limits of the circle. Occasionally, if you feel that your blade is not performing as well, take a look if it's got buildup of flour on the corner. Just wipe it off. No need to oil the blade, no need to wet the blade. If the dough is properly fermented, if it's cold, if the blade is new, it's supposed to do its job without additional help. I will just fill in the rest. Okay, now that we are done with the circle, I will score the outer circle. And for this, I will revert the wheat stalks. I hope you can see from up there because it's just on the sides. The angle is a little bit awkward to show on camera, but I hope you get to see it at least a little bit. So right from where every wheat stalk ends, whether it's the smaller ones or it's the larger ones, I just do a reverse one. At this stage, the edges are a little bit soft now. The dough has warmed up. Your scoring might not be as exact. Do not worry about it because this part of the bread will barely be seen once it's grown, but you still want to know that you've put in the effort to beautify every little piece of your loaf. And now comes transformation time, when we cut a circle all along the line. And here you no longer do these short strokes like we did with the rest. You want to really go deep. Here is the loaf. It's grown quite a bit. It's got even an ear. And it's pretty all the way around. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial and I hope you give it a try. Please tag me so I can see your creations.